Well, good morning. Welcome to Wake Up in the Word. Have just some beautiful things to share with you this morning based on Psalm 128. So grab a cup of coffee and join me if you would, and we'll look at this beautiful passage together. Drinking out of the Connie Maxwell Children's Home Cup this morning. Shout out to Danny Nicholson, Eric Taylor, and all the other good friends we have up there that are doing a great job ministering with kids and families. And this is kind of dedicated to you this morning. Mm-mm. And as we look at Psalm 128, it begins with a very familiar verse that says, "Blessed are all who fear the Lord, who walk in his ways." And the world does not think that blessing comes from fearing the Lord or from even a knowledge of the Lord. The world tends to think blessings come from other things entirely. Matter of fact, in John Phillips' commentary on this particular psalm, he shares a story that is quite tragic but true as it's repeated over and over in our world today. Happy is everyone that fears the Lord, or blessed is everyone that fears the Lord. He says, well, if we fear God, we shall fear nobody else. And with most people, that's about the last thing they would think of when they're thinking of happiness. And he uses this tragic story to illustrate it. It says, such was the experience of Barbara Hutton, whose death on May the 21st, 1979, made the obituary column of Time magazine. She died at the age of 66 as a celebrity. She was the granddaughter of F.W. Woolworth, and at the age of 12, she inherited some $25 million. A fabulous fortune even today, but much more back then. But her money did not make her happy, nor did her marriages. She married 7 husbands, among them a Laotian prince, a Lithuanian prince, Russian prince, a Prussian count, and a Hollywood film star. But she was plagued with sickness and unhappiness in her days. Her illnesses ranged from kidney disease to cataract. She eventually died of a heart attack. In the last years of her life found her a recluse, often bedridden, weighing only 80 pounds. The newspapers used to call her poor little rich girl. Happiness is not to be found in marriage or in money. Something else is needed. True happiness cannot be divorced from God. Peace, harmony, and order have their center in God. And that's something to think about in these days. While most of us are trapped because of COVID 19, we're discovering that this is either going to make us better or make us bitter. And the family unit upon which God says we are to be established, and if that's a godly home, will only be strengthened and will be your source of strength during a time like this. It seems like as I look at posts all over Facebook and other social media, you see two things happening: folks that are just terribly frustrated, or those who are making the best of their time, making the most of the situation, and some finding a unique new opportunity to grow in the Lord because of this, and for families to grow stronger and to grow closer together. So it's what you make of it. In Psalm 28, it talks about what happens when we do make the most of it. And then I've got a couple of special things I want to share about some people that I am related to through social media as well. But it says, blessed are all those who fear the Lord, who walk in his ways. You will eat the fruit of your labor. Blessings and prosperity will be yours. Your wife will be like a fruitful vine within your house. Your sons will be like olive shoots around your table. Thus is the man blessed who fears the Lord. May the Lord bless you from Zion all the days of your life, and may you see the prosperity of Jerusalem, and may you live to see your children's children. Peace be upon Israel. What a beautiful blessing to speak over someone. What a beautiful blessing to express to someone that you really love. And of course, in the end, it says, peace be upon Israel. That's, of course, the writer's own nation. And it tells us that if we're really going to have peace upon our land, then it comes from godly homes made up of people who fear the Lord. And that's the center of everything that they do and how their family is blessed because of it. And when you've been around a while, then you see more and more of how God's blessings just seem to ripple through the generations of those who've trusted in Him. Now, I want to give a shout out to not just a friend, but a blessing in the Lord, Amanda used to be Warren, Amanda Warren Garland, who's in Valdosta, Georgia, was in my church during her teenage years, along with a couple of my kids, of course. And, what I'm amazed at seeing through the years is how so many of these that I remember as children, youngsters, and teenagers in my churches have grown up to be such profoundly strong believers in the Lord as adults. And when Amanda wrote these words, I didn't ask her permission. I am just sharing it, Amanda, because you've already put it out for the whole world to see on Facebook. But listen to these words. She said, with my world a little slower in some aspects, I have time to think and look back on my life. And I remember moments in my life. She talks about things she does remember. Are you like me? Are there things that happened in your childhood, and even though you're old, they are just fresh in your mind, like they happened yesterday? And then there are whole uh, landscapes of life that you have no recollection of. Well, Amanda has this same experience. She says, I remember the moment in fifth grade when I had to sit on a bench during recess because I kicked a boy in the shin and made him bleed. The many moments going to the beach with my best friend in elementary and middle school only to get burnt on the first day, but still had a blast. Then the moment in sixth grade when I remembered hearing about the love of Jesus and understanding it. The moment when I got contacts for the first time and the day of my prom. She goes on to talk about some things she does remember, and then she mentions that there are things that she doesn't remember. I mean, she can clearly remember getting her driver's license and getting engaged and all this sort of stuff, and when her son Warren was born. But then other things she can't remember. I don't want to read the whole post, but if you're friends with Amanda, you've probably already read this. She says, but I can't remember when my name changed from mommy to mama. I can't remember when he stopped being a little boy in my eyes. I can't remember when I finally made peace with not having any more children, but I did. I see my role changing. I'm still needed, but in a different capacity. You see, change is constant. It happens whether we want it to or not. But growth, on the other hand, it's up to us. It doesn't happen if we don't see the obstacles, joy, pain, hardships that come into our life as an opportunity for growth. Some we invite in, some we have no control over. But ultimately, God can and will use anything if we allow Him to. Either we grow or we grow bitter. Up to us. Time passes. It's what we do during the time that matters. Amanda, those are some profound words this morning. Blessed my heart, and I hope they're blessing some others as they're hearing them right now. But it's amazing. It's what we do with the time. And I am amazed at how people with such innovation in these days are making the best use of time. I watched as my wife and two daughters got involved. This is something Sue and Joy and Libby have gotten involved in primarily through Joy. Thank you, Joy, for, I guess, the idea. We'll see how wonderful this is on the other side of it. They're doing a virtual pampered chef party. That's right. They can do a pampered chef party totally online now, social distancing and everything. I like many husbands and many guys in amazement have watched the ladies who've developed this lifestyle around doing all kinds of parties. Cheryl Seaman, your Longaberger basket parties. How about those Tupperware parties and all the other things? And Pampered Chef being one of those that developed through the years. And now they may not be able to get together in a living room and have a good time and sip a cup of tea together, but they're still managing to do parties all through social media. I'm one of those that complained about social media in the early days. I didn't want our teenagers all just sitting with their head buried in a phone and missing out on life. But now, isn't it amazing that the blessing of social media has allowed us to stay connected? Some of you are watching me, whether it's on YouTube or on my Facebook channel, all over the world because of this connection of social media. What a blessing it has been. Well, use it for God's glory. We complained when we could not get together in our church buildings for worship services, and we took the worship services outside. We have from the first day been doing a parking lot drive-in service. Thank you to Asheville Drive-In Church for giving me all that experience all the years I was up there. But outside drive-in worship services, who would have thought that'd be something that would bless us? But yet, Mark Harrell, I saw your post today where your church did the outside drive-in service, and a young man driving by on his bicycle on the sidewalk stopped to hear the message and gave his heart to Jesus. Would that young man have gone into your church building as he was going by one Sunday on his bike? Probably not. But on that day, because the church got outside the walls, he was willing to find Christ. Oh, friends, listen, we may be in some tough times these days, but you want to know where blessing and happiness is found? It starts with this family who begins by fearing the Lord and walks in his ways. And those of us who walk in his ways, even in these difficult times, will discover something. We will discover that God's going to bless and use our creativity and our innovation to reach out to others, even in dark times. And great things are going to be happening. And ultimately, what's going to happen to our nation? Again, he closes that psalm by saying, Peace be upon Israel. That was his country, that was his nation. Well, peace be on the United States of America and on your country, wherever you are. Ghana, on India. Peace be upon Australia. Peace be upon, and you name it, fill in the blank. Peace be upon your nation today. Why? Because if you've got families that know the Lord, that fear the Lord, and they strengthen themselves, build that family around God's word, the Bible at the center, and the relationships, it'll only get stronger when you're tossed closer together. Then your nation will survive, you will make it, and you'll have the peace that's necessary to move forward. So God bless you today. Let's keep our families strong because we keep them focused on the Lord. Because every single day we wake up in the Word. God bless you.